Hello and welcome to this week's Hem Productions podcast. Today we will be discussing the worst films of the year. Because it's a bit of a slow news week and we're finally in December, I think it's a good time to go over some of my least favourite movies of the year, maybe a few disappointing movies of the year. Not much has been happening in the world of film. We got a trailer for Ready or Not 2 with Samara Weaving in the starring role. We talked about how the directors of Ready or Not and, the recent Scream movies were making a new... What was the franchise? They're making a new Mummy franchise, making a new Mummy movie. So this will come out next year, Ready or Not 2, and I'm looking forward to it because I love the first one, just a good schlocky comedy. We've had a few awards with the Gotham Awards and the New York Critics Circle Awards, both naming One Battle After Another as their best feature. We've also had first impressions coming out for the new Avatar after its premiere, and I honestly haven't been looking too much into them because I want to surprise myself. We also have an updated box office this weekend, so that'll be the main news before we get into my least favourite movies. It's an exciting time around now because we're getting a lot of these summaries of the best movies, and IndieWire's top 25 list I'd recommend because they always have a bunch of movies you haven't heard of on there. And some that you have, with Marty Supreme reviews coming out, Timothée Chalamet's new movie, and apparently a legendary performance, surely will be in the best acting category again this year. So yeah, very exciting time. Zootopia 2 has come out, and Eternity, the new high-concept comedy starring Elizabeth Olsen. So I want to see both of those this week and probably will, but I haven't seen any new movies, so I'm just going to talk about some of the crap that I've seen, and I'll catch you up on some crap that I've watched this week, because I've been filling in a few blind spots of movies I've missed. So let's kick off the show with the last 2 weeks' box office. So, very predictable. Number one at the box office for 2 weeks ago is Wicked for Good, and it made 7.5 million American dollars. Just for a comparison, the week before the top movie debuted was Now You See Me, Now You Don't, and it debuted to 1.3 million. Yeah, a bit of a difference there. Let me go back and see other debuts. Yeah, Begonia debuted at 300,000 American dollars, Chainsaw Man 750,000. What do we have the week before? Oh, you've already heard all these. Black Phone, less than 1 million. So, yeah, guys, Wicked did pretty damn well. Despite the showing I went to, there was nobody really in the theater, and it wasn't very busy at all. But it still topped the charts, I guess, everywhere else, and in Sydney, everybody is trying to watch a really bad movie. Anyway, number 2 is Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Number 3, The Running Man. Number 4, Predator Badlands. Number 5, which I'm so excited to talk about. It doesn't have the last week's numbers for some reason. I don't think it was new that week. It's grossed over $4.3 million. Now, that's a really fun one. Number 6, Paw Patrol Christmas. Number 7, Begonia. Number 8, Chainsaw Man. Number 9, The Bad Guys 2, still hanging up there. 10 million fucking American dollars it's made. Then number 10, DD Paya D2, which has made a healthy $200,000, which is more than, let's see, what's it more than? It's more than If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, one of my faves of the year. That's disappointing. Anyway, this week's, we've had Zootopia 2, obviously crushing it. But because of Wicked, not nearly a huge debut. It debuted at 3.7 million Australian dollars, and right below it is Wicked for Good, holding with 3.3 million, not Australian, American dollars. These are all American dollars. Wicked has made 13 million American dollars here already. That is insane. It's probably the highest grossing movie of the year, or will be. Number 3 is Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Number 4 is Predator Badlands. Number 5 is The Running Man. Number 6 is Nuremberg, the new Russell Crowe Oscar-y movie. Looks to be set during World War II. Honestly, looks pretty boring. Along with Dead of Winter at number 7, which is Emma Thompson's Frozen mystery movie. Also kind of looks pretty boring, but I might end up seeing it. Number 8 is Tia Ishik Mine. I'm assuming another Bollywood or Tollywood film. Yep, exactly. 2.5 hours, action, drama, musical, romance. Fuck me, I'm reviewing the wrong movies each week. Number 9 is Regretting You, and number 10 is The Fifth Step. What the fuck is this? It was at 29 last week. It has jumped up. What is this? Oh, The Fifth Step. It's a play. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen this one. Anyway, that's the box office. Let's get into the worst movies of the year, guys. Looking forward to this segment. So, 2025, it's been a great friggin' year for movies, and I've still got so much stuff to see. That's the thing about watching movies from Australia, is not all the big movies are out yet. If you're American, I'm sure all the movies hit your shore a lot quicker, but over here, we gotta wait for some of the big kickers. So, I'll still do an episode on my favourite movies of the year, but of course, when the Oscars are happening, that's when I'll do my actual Oscar ballots, what I want to win and what I expect to win at the Oscars, but we've still got a few months of speculating on that first. But what I don't need to speculate on is worst movies of the year. Now, I put everything I watch into a list. At the moment, I'm at about 83 movies this year, which is pretty good, but it'll be a lot more by the time we get to Oscar season. I've added so many movies from IndieWire's list already to watch, and I already had a bunch of movies to see. But let's get started. My worst movie of the year, one battle after another. No, just joking. Just jerking ya. Before we get into the actual worst stuff, I want to talk about things that were a little disappointing. Let's start with the first one. Now, this is the highest on my list that we're going to talk about today. This is number 14, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now, this is not at all the worst movie of the year, not even close to the worst movie of the year. But it was a bit of a disappointment. The most disappointing movie I've seen in cinemas 3 times. I'm sure most people who've seen the film can attest to why it's a little disappointing. There's so much potential set up with the previous film, which was originally a part 1, and in the first hour of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, it's kind of spun around in a washing machine and it comes out as something very strange. The first hour and a half of this movie, a very strange escalation of stakes from the previous movie, and the stakes just keep getting higher and higher. Tom Cruise makes himself even more of a Jesus-like figure in this movie, and it bloats the movie out to almost 3 hours long. When you're not paying attention to any of this, though, and you're just focusing on the amazing action, acting, and chemistry between all these characters, you've got a really, really great movie. I gave it 4 stars, I stand by that. But this could have been the best movie of the year. Easily, with the amount of action stunts in it. It could have been a full Dead Reckoning, Fallout moment. Perhaps even Oscar moment with all of the stunts in this movie. But they just didn't land the plane quite so well. Another movie I'll talk about, slightly disappointing, but also very good, is Frankenstein. Now, there's been mixed opinions on this everywhere. For me, I found it slightly disappointing because it wasn't the totemic masterpiece that I was expecting it to be, and that it honestly should be, but maybe they are too high expectations to hold up to it. Easily most disappointing for me, in terms of it was not a good movie at all, was Springsteen: Deliver Me From Nowhere. Now, I don't think it's a terrible film. It's easily the best of the bad bunch. Not as good as fucking Mission Impossible. I got this around 34 on my list of 85, but it's a 2.5 star movie. I can't help but be tricked a little bit into liking it because I like Bruce Springsteen so much, but it really didn't bring to light anything special for both Bruce Springsteen, for the album Nebraska, and for music biopics. And that's what I found very disappointing about it. And especially because it's still making money, people are fine with this. And critics don't like it, people don't like it. People went to see it because of Springsteen. It wasn't even as big a success as Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's much better than Bohemian Rhapsody, but undoubtedly a little disappointing. But let's get into some actually bad movies. We'll start with Caught Stealing. So this is towards the top of the rubbish heap. We got Caught Stealing here at number 61. Above it, For example, I've got F1, A Big Bold Beautiful Journey, Megan 2.0, Companion, The Black Phone 2, A House of Dynamite. So, above it, I've already got films I'm not that crazy about. Caught Stealing is the first one that I actually really just didn't like. I thought it was a very weightless directorial effort from Darren Aronofsky, a very, very prominent director, whose last film was very successful, The Whale. It won Brendan Fraser an Oscar, but it seems like nobody actually liked the movie that he was in. I can agree with that a little bit. I like The Whale more than most people, but Aronofsky was running on autopilot. He didn't know what he was doing with some of the character dynamics. It felt like every character was sort of directed inside a different movie. And so he just wanted to prove that he could make a movie. And he did with Caught Stealing. But for me, it was more like Caught Snoring. He tried to make something. He proved that he could make something. And that's all he does. He made something. A very weightless, directionless movie that falters all over the place and doesn't really have any identity of its own. Plus, I didn't find Austin Butler compelling as a scumbum, which he's really meant to be in that movie. Next, I'll talk about The Life of Chuck, which is a better movie than Caught Stealing, but I really didn't like it very much. If you've seen The Life of Chuck, it's about somebody dying and the universe sort of collapsing around them. And the first act is this incredible tension builder of the apocalypse that feels very prescient. The second act is a little fun but confusing with some terrible narration, and then the third act just is a whimper fart, kind of ruins the movie. When I was watching this, I saw it at a film festival months before it came out, and I knew it had won an award at Toronto, and if you just watch that first act and leave, I can see giving it an award. But if you watch that second and third act, it starts to grate on you even more and more. Not a very successful movie from a director I like normally, Mike Flanagan. Now, I already talked about Good Fortune, which was on my list as well. I'll talk about In the Lost Lands, because this is a bad movie that I liked. This is from legendary shitty director Paul W.S. Anderson, who I contend is not a shitty director, he's a schlocky director. He creates schlock. And this was some visually interesting schlock, but it was even a step down by his standards. I thought Monster Hunter was better, and that's not very good praise. Below that, I've got Honey Don't, which is Ethan Coen's movie, and you could remember that when I talked about it on the podcast, I was fairly more positive on it than most people. That feeling has gone away as I have watched all of the Coen brothers movies this year for Blank Check, if anyone else is a blankie out there. And this is at the bottom of the heap for sure. Honey Don't is just a weightless pastiche of some of the sensibilities of Ethan Coen and Trisha Cook, but nothing interesting. If you want a movie like Honey Don't, that's a lot better, watch Drive Away Dolls, which is okay. It's not that much better, but it's a lot better than Honey Don't. How to Train Your Dragon. Now let's talk about really bad. Though this movie is fine because the original How to Train Your Dragon is fine. But what happens when you mix fine with worse visuals, kind of boring acting, and make it longer and more bloated? Guess what? You get a worse movie. It's simply one of the most pointless live-action adaptations I've ever seen, because if the dragons don't look good or the action doesn't feel exhilarating, then what's the point in making it live-action? I simply think the animated movie was a lot better. Number 70. Wow, this list is a lot longer than I thought it would be. We're at number 70. Now, this is a really disappointing movie, but also a bad movie. This is Fantastic Four: The First Steps. Now, this was rough. I went to see this with a group of friends who really liked it and enjoyed themselves, but I have no pleasure in saying this. It's the Fantastic Snore. Galactus is as terrifying as promised, but the movie is dry as hell. Everything you're supposed to know about the foursome is written but barely seen. Most of the movie consists of disaster film level stakes and conversations, which are sometimes thrilling, but in place of action or any kind of fun, it's hardly a worthy trade-off. Pedro Pascal has barely a chance to smile or stretch in between these huge monologues of him fearing the unknown. All of this just feels very un-Fantastic Four, and the whole movie is so dire that there's no time for them to fucking have any fun. And the cast lacked chemistry because they don't get to have fun. It's a very weird, really bad movie. And I really can't see why so many critics liked it. The visuals were okay, but when they were doing action set pieces, the visuals weren't that okay. It's really rough. Really boring movie that doesn't understand the Fantastic Four at all. Not that it has to, but you got to do one or the other. You either got to understand the characters and make a faithful adaptation, or make an interesting movie, and they did neither. So that's on there. I've got The Amateur at 71. Now, has anyone seen The Amateur? Because speaking of amateur actors, Rami Malek cannot hold his own as a lead. I've never really gelled with Rami Malek. He won an Oscar for wearing some fake teeth and lip syncing, and that's kind of what he does here. Well, he's not wearing fake teeth here. The Amateur's just a very boring thriller movie about kind of a guy doing a John Wick, trying to get revenge after his wife has been killed in a terrorist attack. But he's very introverted. He's a decoder. He's not a killer. And it's a movie about him slowly building his way up to being a killer. It's weightless. The action's boring. Lawrence Fishburne kind of steals the show because he's an actual competent actor. And I didn't like it. Another movie I didn't like from Osgood Perkins, The Monkey. Now, Longlegs last year, I didn't think it was a masterpiece, but it was a great fucking theater experience. It was thrilling, it had so many cool kills, and it was fucking scary as hell. The Monkey isn't that. Based off a short Stephen King movie, this just became a very minor sort of movie about people dying. And it's pretty fucked up, got a lot of violence, but nothing more. I did like the lead performance, which was a twin performance from fucking... What's his name? Let me credit this actor from this bad movie. Theo James. Yeah, I thought Theo James was pretty good in the role, and I thought The Monkey was pretty funny. But otherwise, not a very successful movie. Regretting You. Now, this is really bad. This is some batshit insane Colleen Hoover stuff. Now, I saw It Ends With Us last year. I thought that sucked. I like this a little bit more than It Ends With Us because it wasn't taking such a serious subject matter and, you know, kind of throwing it out the window, making a nothing movie. This is just a ridiculous movie where things get worse and worse and worse. This couple of friends lose their partners, and they were in the same car together because they were cheating on each other. Then there's a subplot with the daughter because the daughter's reacting to all this going badly. There's flashback scenes with Dave Franco pretending he's a 16-year-old. Yeah, it's a really strange movie based on very strange material, and I can't wait to see the next one. At least that's an enjoyable bad movie. Speaking of enjoyable bad movies, Flight Risk. This is Mel Gibson's latest directorial effort, and it's mostly an intimate character drama of Topher Grace and Michelle Dockery trying to fly a plane safely and land it after Mark Wahlberg has actually come to assassinate Topher Grace. So they're trapped in this plane, and you'd think it'd be much more exciting considering the stakes, but it isn't. Nobody's really showing off any good acting, the dialogue sucks, and it's pretty boring. It's a Mel Gibson movie. I don't know what I expected. It was kind of funny to see Mark Wahlberg bold and occasionally screaming and losing his mind. Lots of stupid, funny stuff to laugh at. Speaking of stupid, funny stuff, Happy Gilmore 2. Very stupid, funny stuff here. Now, some people might find this completely inoffensive. I found it like Space Jam 2, but for old white cancelled guys. Yeah, there's a lot of cameos in this movie, some of which are from cancelled celebrities. Adam Sandler simply loves making movies, and I give him a nice golf clap because he made this in the same year he gave a very good performance in Jay Kelly, and he got a big fat check from fucking Netflix to do it. It's very bad. Speaking of very bad, but made a lot of money, a Minecraft movie. Now, this shit was boring as hell. It really broke one of my friends, actually. He wrote a huge long review about it, about how much it broke him. I just found it was a very not funny movie that is primarily a comedy. And it's not about creativity, which a Minecraft movie probably should be. It's not really led by the children, who I think are more interesting. And the visuals are... the visuals are alright, but it's what I expected. I didn't expect this movie to be very good, so that's why it's not disappointing. Let me rattle off the last 6 here, which are really, really big duds. Heads of State. Just a terrible Amazon movie where fucking Idris Elba plays the Prime Minister, and John Cena plays the American president. It's one of those kind of movies. I watched it half asleep. I don't want to really speak on it too much. It's a bad straight-to-streaming action movie with not much there. Speaking of what should have been a bad straight-to-streaming action movie, Jurassic World Rebirth. Now, I was away when I saw this one. This is kind of like a soft remake of the original Jurassic Park, but with worse actors, worse stakes, worse everything. Doesn't make a lot of sense, tries to do a lot of the awe-inspiring shit that the original movie did, but it mostly has boring Jurassic World-style set pieces. A very unimaginative reboot for a franchise that really needed some juice. They have these weird corrupted dinosaurs in them that look like regular dinosaurs. This is just, it's so lifeless, and it's crazy to see the Jurassic franchise be reduced to this. Same can be said for Captain America Brave New World, which makes Fantastic Four look like an exhilarating, beautiful masterpiece, because this is just an ugly mess of a movie. Not only does it not really make sense, it was really chopped up in fucking development. You can tell it's held together with duct tape, and there's no exciting action. There's nothing exciting about Brave New World. It's so boring. And that just shouldn't be the words you associate with a Marvel movie. Superhero movies used to be exciting action spectacles with dazzling visuals. And this is the complete opposite of that. Right afterwards, I have Kinda Pregnant, which I feel bad about hating on so much because Amy Schumer gets a lot of unwanted hate. But I just found this Netflix comedy to be very unfunny, very boring, and kind of a waste of my time. But it wasn't as much of a waste of my time as Star Trek Section 31. I watched every Star Trek movie this year, and this is easily the bottom of the barrel. It's literally a Suicide Squad style movie with Michelle Yeoh in another terribly miscast lead role where she is just completely lifeless, and I can barely remember this movie. But I watched it. I paid attention to this shit. And, it is like Suicide Squad for Star Trek franchise. And I'm not talking the Suicide Squad, I'm talking David Ayer's Suicide Squad. But somehow even more lifeless. Truly, it just looked like an orange screensaver. And then Michelle Yeoh would bark something, some other characters would bark, and none of the stuff they were saying is interesting. You could say that's what all of Star Trek is, but you go watch this and then go watch Wrath of Khan and tell me there's no difference. This is very weak. It's so disappointing that after so long of no Star Trek movies, we get this straight to streaming crap. And now we're talking about one of the most expensive movies of the year and easily the worst movie of the year, The Electric State. I'm sure many of you have not even heard of this movie, which is one of the most expensive movies ever made. I'm pretty sure it was 350 million Australian dollars. And the movie is a Holocaust allegory, at least it opens with that, of robots getting casted out of society, and then Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown befriend one of them, and holy shit. This movie was directed by the Russo brothers, who made a little movie called Avengers Endgame. And that movie has limited depth, but is undoubtedly a crowd pleaser with fist-pumping moments. This has none of that. I gave it 1 star because it has some robot designs I kind of like. Everything else is bad. It looks bad. It would look better on a phone because you wouldn't be able to see as much of the visuals up close. The villain is non-existent. Poor bloody Ke Huy Quan, who won an Oscar for a great role in Everything Everywhere and is now just playing terrible villains apparently. Chris Pratt is one of the worst actors of all time. And you can see that here, where he plays a Chris Pratt type. Everybody gets burnt in this fucking movie. The Avengers movies are so fun and exciting that you're not worried about the fucking film buffs, not real cinema rants. This movie is what they're talking about when they say not real cinema. It is fucking coordinated to try and hit a moment. Every executive must have been pumping money into this thing, thinking we can start a franchise, and they completely missed the mark. It is an unspeakably boring movie for something that cost so much money and had so much talent behind it. And money. Not streaming? What are you talking about? It's on Netflix. Yep. It said it wasn't streaming for a second. Imagine if they took it off. They probably should. This went way longer than I thought it was going to. It turns out I have a fun time talking about bad movies. Hope some of the stuff I said was legible. I really wasn't feeling well today, but I thought I should record a podcast because that is what I do, and I gotta do something with my life. Anyway, guys, this was today's episode of the Hem Productions podcast. Next week, we'll review Zootopia 2 and Eternity, and maybe talk about a different subject of movies. We've done the worst movies, we've gone over some disappointing movies. What are we going to do next? Let's find out. See you next week on the Hem Productions podcast.